Hey, what's cooking? 1031 WRNR. It's Rob Timm. And as our restaurant recovery series continues, we're joined by the always delightful to be with, quite frankly, Bob Krohn from Julep Southern Kitchen. How you doing, Bob?
Well, that's pretty thoughtful of you, Rob. Good morning. No,
Oh,
I'm doing just fine. I've escaped the humidity and heat today into the air conditioned inness, but it's nice to see you.
it's nice. It's always nice to see you. What's so speaking of what's cooking, I know you've got plenty cooking over at Julep, and what's especially good these days? I understand you've gone insane and allowed the people to change the menu.
Actually, absolutely, it was time to make a little change. And, I thought it'd be nice to bring the people in on the event. So I had a Facebook contest for the top two additions to the new menu. I was going to give the winner a $250 gift certificate to Julep, and we had 440 entries.
Wow.
Yes, yes. I mean,
Now, did you see? Was there kind of an overarching theme in what people were suggesting that they'd like to eat at Julep?
well, I asked for things that were Southern themed,
Sure.
which did include Cajun and other things of that nature. So there were some things that were, a little bit crazy, but what it eventually came down to, the two winners were jambalaya, and
Right.
and I didn't have jambalaya or anything like that in the past because I was trying to keep tunnel vision on Southern things, and Cajun can be an entire restaurant all to
Right.
itself.
Right.
Um, but so we did jambalaya and crab cakes on fried green tomatoes.
Ah.
So it's been about, I don't know, a week, 10 days since we added them to our menu, and the crab cakes are just being wonderfully loved. The jambalaya, a little bit less so. People who are having it are really enjoying it, but
Mhm.
it takes a while. I figure maybe a month till I see how they play out. So absolutely, the crab cakes are a permanent addition.
You know what else? I think of jambalaya. I want that more in a cooler month, so more towards the fall. I'm going to say, oh yeah, I want some a nice steaming pile of jambalaya.
That and the heat that goes with it, other than
Right.
the temperature heat. Yeah,
Right.
that may be a thought. I hadn't really thought of that, but of course we do notice the other menu items that we have that are better in the fall. The chili obviously is one of them,
Right.
but there's so many things to eat, and it was so nice having participation from the
Yeah.
community. Actually, it's a funny story because I go from table to table when I'm in there saying hi. Now, of course, I am the masked ranger, but anyway, I went to a table and said hi to a couple people day before yesterday, and they had a goodly amount of food laid out on that table. And I walked up and I said, "Boy, you really got some serious food going on here." Turned out it was the mother and father of one of the winners who had been bestowed for Father's Day.
And they were just going to take it all home.
Yes, yes. So
Well,
that was a nice thing. But thank you for asking. And you know, when it comes down to it, it is all of the customers that are the most important, and we want to try and make people comfortable and give them what they want.
right.
You,
Now, for
you,
those who are not familiar with, who haven't been to Julep before, Bob, what can you tell them about the menu and the experience and what they're going to get at Julep that they're not going to get at just a kind of a run of the mill joint?
well, Southern food being, comfort food, and maybe depending on where you grew up, something that harkens back to your childhood. Whether so, when we even have things like mac and cheese, we try to bring them up, to uplift them. So we have some baked mac and cheese with some upgraded cheeses to make it a little more adult, which of course is issues when the kids come in and they want the cheesiest.
Right.
I mean, they just want that Kraft.
They want the Kraft, yeah.
Yeah. So mac and cheese, certainly. We have fried catfish that is very lightly breaded. We of course have ribs and brisket and pulled pork, but we try to just, even smoked meatloaf, smoked fried chicken, which I know you're familiar with. We dry rub the kitchen. We dry rub the kitchen. We dry rub the chicken and then cook it and flash fry it to give it a little crispiness. So we just try and put a little twist on Southern things. And above all, the consistency of what comes out of the kitchen and the quality to us is just so important, because everybody needs to come back. So that's what it is. There's a little barbecue thrown in. There's deeply Southern things. In the dessert, we have pecan pie, which of course is so deeply Southern. We have something called hummingbird cake. Hummingbird cake is kind of like a cross between spice cake and pumpkin, and it's got coconut, it's got pecans, it's just, ooh. Anyway, we just want you to remember having been there, because obviously if everybody doesn't enjoy themselves and come back, then we're history.
Well, folks should go to WRNR.com and get the link over to Julep. And before we go, I want to make note, and I want to make sure that people know that I am aware that Bob went to extraordinary lengths to take care of his employees when all of this happened. And I think that tells you much of what you need to know about Bob and about Julep Southern Kitchen. So thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you, Bob. And before I go, I really want to thank WRNR, because we've been with you for a long time, and your listeners are in a class different from the bulk of the other radio stations. So thank you, Bob, so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care, and we'll see you soon at Julep.
Bye-bye. Be safe.
You too.